Hey guys. Take that volume down. Hope you're all having a great weekend. Those watching this stream now, thanks very much for watching. This is more an informative stream. So I'm not there to have a go at anybody, whether it's cryptocurrency or gold and precious metals. It's pretty much just to get everyone's sort of insight into how they feel about all of these options and even precious metals, and then even in case there's any fans there that collect Fiat, you might have someone who's particularly Fiat orientated. So Donald, how you doing, buddy? You well? I hope you can hear me just fine. We got Mark B. It's probably going to be a busy night. I just saw Rick G just uploaded he's doing his live stream. So I'm just going to go through. I've got everything pretty much ready. We're going to go through. We're going to talk about cryptocurrency first, and then work our way through precious metals. Can you guys hear me? Okay. Just let me know if you can hear me just fine. Testing. Certainly looks that way. Doing well, Lamy. Yep, Mark B says yes, that's no problem. Yeah, I am fantastic. I hope you guys enjoyed the video this morning. I thought I'd have a bit of fun. I was thinking about doing this video a couple of days back, and I thought, well, why not? Why not have a bit of fun? There's obviously a lot of serious stuff going on in the community lately, so I thought I'd put out a video there. People can have a good laugh, enjoy. David Carlisle says, hi, Silver Limey. I missed a lot of your videos, but good to see you again. Yeah, no problem, David. If you haven't checked my one out this morning, definitely take a look at that. Hope you enjoy that. So we got three so far. I'm going to kickstart things off so we don't have to, as the people pile in. And we got five now. Five joining us. Mr. Doughboy356 has just popped in. That's fantastic. Hey buddy. Thanks so very much. Right. I don't know what your knowledge of cryptocurrencies are. We're going to take a look at the first one, which is obviously Bitcoin. That was obviously, if you have a look here, I've got the Wikipedia, which is going to help us out. Essentially, Bitcoin came out because of the financial crisis and the lack of trust with the banks, and obviously in regards to their bailouts. Obviously back then, Donald's just saying hello there. So if we have a look at exactly what Bitcoin is, a lot of people, I've got this. Yeah, Bitcoin. It's a token. That is correct. Bitcoin is a cryptocurrency, a form of electronic cash. It's a decentralized digital currency without a central bank or single administrator that can be sent from one user to another, also referred to as peer-to-peer. Bitcoin network without the need for intermediaries. Obviously, it just means there's no middlemen involved. There's essentially no need for a bank transaction, and obviously the cost of transferring is far cheaper than doing it through your normal bank. Transactions are verified by the network nodes through cryptography and recorded in the public distributed ledger called a blockchain. Now, in the earlier days, as far as I know, it was called something else. It wasn't called blockchain. Blockchain came later. Bitcoin was invented by an unknown person or a group of people using the name Satoshi Nakamoto. Now, in regards to, you've got subunits, you've got milli-Bitcoin, and you've got Satoshis. So, for instance, if you were buying Bitcoin, you don't necessarily have to buy one Bitcoin. You can break it down into certain segments. So you can buy a thousandth of a token of Bitcoin, or you can buy 100th. So, for instance, you can obviously put $100 in if you want. You don't have to buy a specific Bitcoin itself. They can be exchanged for currencies, products, and services. Obviously, it says there, research produced by the University of Cambridge estimated in 2017 that there were 2.9 to 5.8 million unique users using cryptocurrency wallets. Most of them using Bitcoin. Obviously, that was the number one coin. So we've got 7 so far, guys. Fantastic. Bitcoin is being criticized for its use in illegal transactions. Obviously, if you guys haven't checked out Netflix, they did a very good documentary about Bitcoin. In case you guys haven't checked it out, it's on Netflix. Have a look. Sydney opened your eyes, and I thought it was very interesting. It's high electricity consumption, so obviously it uses an enormous amount of power. So it's not very environmentally friendly. Price volatility, obviously, it went up to its high of about, I think it was $19,000. But initially, that initial period when it was first introduced, and I think it probably took 8 years for it to actually slowly build up before that massive spike. Let's have a look. Exchange, the possibility of Bitcoin in an economic bubble. And it says exchanges and the possibility that Bitcoin is an economic bubble. Bitcoin has been used as an investment, although several regulatory agencies have issued investor alerts about Bitcoin. And obviously, you can go into the history. You can see the earlier, the 2011 to 2012s, and so on. I'm going to scroll down here. So obviously, there is creation in 2008. Funny enough, they opened the first Bitcoin exchange next door to Wall Street as well. So it was, I think the dealings would tend to be done sort of in a sort of a manual cash system. Let's have a look. We've got DB Stupids here. Hey guys, sorry, we're going to, I'll recap. So we're going to start off with the cryptocurrency, and I'm going to work our way through to precious metals, and then we'll be discussing fiat. Silver Wolverine is here as well. Thank you very much for joining me. You're welcome to have a look or play back if you like, in case you've missed anything. I'm not going to go into too much detail in regards to its creation. Obviously, in the 2011 to 2012, the proof of concept transactions. Obviously, look at the price. In 2011, the price started at 30 cents per Bitcoin, growing to $5.27 for the year. So obviously, massive amount of growth. Just within that particular price period. The price rose to $31.50, and then on the 8th of June, within a month, the price fell to $11. So again, high volatility, probably a lot of traders buying and selling. The next month it fell to $7.80, and another month to $4.77. So again, there was probably a bit of a bear trend at that particular time. Litecoin obviously was a altcoin of Bitcoin. Was created in October 2011. Many altcoins are being created since. Obviously, if you have a look there, there's something like 2,000, which we're going to have a look at shortly. So we got Mary Love, cool. One of my moderators is in. Linda's here as well. Thanks very much for joining me. Let's have a look. See if, yeah, okay, awesome. Right, so as I said, in 2012, Bitcoin prices started at $5.27, growing to $13.30 for the year. So in 2012, there wasn't really much happening. There was more consolidation at that particular period. By January, the price had risen to $7.38 and then crashed to $3.80 within 16 days. So again, very volatile. 2013 to 2016 market. Okay, the prices started $13.30, rising to $770. That was its high there by January, the 1st of January 2014. So $770. In March 2013, blockchain temporarily split into two independent chains with different rules. The two blockchains operated simultaneously for 6 hours, each with its own version of the transactional history. Let's take a look here. I'm just going to skip through. Yeah, that was the Mt. Gox was one of the exchanges they used, and they discovered there's some irregularities in regards to that, and that's it was a couple of guys were arrested. If you guys haven't checked the Netflix Bitcoin video, definitely check that out. We're going to skip all of that though for now. In 2014, prices started at $770 and fell to $314, so still within the sort of hundreds, so not going below that. There we go. In February 2014, the Mt. Gox exchange, the largest Bitcoin exchange at the time, said that 850,000 Bitcoins had been stolen from its customers. So obviously that's, I think essentially there was a problem there with the exchange, some fraudulent issues there. Terry Rabadoo's here. Awesome, thank you. Thanks for joining. Right, let's see. So amounted to almost $500 million, and obviously that had been stolen. Bitcoin's price fell by almost half, so it lost half, practically half its value there, from 867 to 439. That's a 49% drop. Now, funny enough, there's another mention earlier of a 49% drop here. So that's interesting that popped up again. That it just happened to be 49%. The price remained low until late 2016. In 2015, prices started at $314 and $434. Prices rose to $998 on the 1st of January 2017. Thumb down, #1. Silver Lining says Terra video. I thought you thumbs down video, but the Southside Stacker and sells videos. Looks like Silver Wolverine's having a go there at Terra Rabadoo. Are we in Ireland today? Yes, of course, absolutely. Let's have a look. So in 2017, 2018, prices started $998 and rose to $13,000 basically on the 1st of January 2018. And then there was a major, and then there we go, Bitcoin's all-time high of reaching 19,666. A lot of things happened then. You got China banned trading in Bitcoin, but the first steps taken in September 2017, and the complete ban starting in the 1st of February. Bitcoin prices then fell from 9,000 to 6,900 on the 5th of February. The percentage of Bitcoin trading fell by over 90%. So massive amount of, or let's just say a massive readjustment. I'm not going to go too much in the design. I'll go over supply. So there we go. There's, according to the supply, so very much I suppose like gold, there's only so much supply equals the price. So for instance, there's a supply limit of 21 million Bitcoin. That's it. There's 21 million Bitcoin in the market. After that, there's nothing. Excuse me. Circulating supply is 17,428,612 million. So currently there's still about 3.5 million, 3.6 million Bitcoin left in the system. At a current price of $3,600. We're gonna check that out in a sec. So not many left. Now, what does that correlate in regards to value? Be stupid. This is crypto in my brain. Don't worry, we're going to be moving on to something right now. So if we look at the cryptocurrency chart, so for instance, I don't necessarily use CoinMarketCap, but they're probably the most simplest way of checking out the crypto market. Does anyone in the chat hold any crypto or digital assets? That's the new term for cryptocurrency now, is digital assets. Does anyone have any digital assets? Wait for you guys to respond there, but let's take a look. So CoinMarketCap, so there's 2,068 cryptocurrencies currently available on the market. Nadia Silva says LTC, XLM. XLM is Stellar. Litecoin, cool. Did you get into Litecoin fairly recently, Nadia? But just before that that spike. Everybody says not for me. I don't like cryptos. Silver Wolverine. Crypto, and funny enough, crypto and gold share a common enemy, and that's fiat banks. So you know, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. So think of it that way. Deep stupid. No crypto when the exchange wants to photocopy my passport back away. Yeah, that's part of the verification process. And it's just to make sure that you are you, because obviously you're putting your details, your bank details on there. So they want to make sure that you are the person who's registering those details. Because if you think about it, you're going on the system. If you didn't either send a photo yourself, a lot of them require photos now, and your identification, and technically you can put anyone's card on the system just by. David Carlisle says, Silver Limey, if I die, I'm not saying that I will. You will get my crypto. Well, essentially, you'd have to transfer it before you do. Otherwise, it's in limbo land, apparently. I collect fake Bitcoin. Does that count? Yeah, I've actually got one of them, actually. I've got a copper round that's got the Bitcoin logo on. Nadia says, no, I have been in crypto for 1.5 years. Well, by far more experienced than I am, because I started in crypto in July of last year, mainly just to spread my portfolio. So obviously I've got precious metals, and I thought, well, I wanted to get into something else. And like I was saying, in regards to, what is similar to precious metals but isn't fiat, and there's not much out there, because shares don't work for me, because that's practically fiat. Shares, stocks, bonds, it's all fiat. So for me, the option was to have a look at the crypto market and see what was the best choice. Little Bum says, I have a big portfolio of cryptos. I lost tons. I'm down money. Did you buy high and then sell low, Metal Bum? No crypto when the exchange wanted. Oh, yeah, there we go. We got that one. So Bill J is here as well. Bill J version 2. Thanks, man. Thanks for dropping in. It's a book. So Wolverine Banks. Nadia says, David, you put it in your will and put your secret keys. Yeah, that's right. There's you get a special key for your account. Private. They call it private keys, and that's one thing you don't lose is the private key. Holding the private key means that is with you. So that's probably the differences with some exchanges. They don't want you to hold the private keys. If you hold the private keys, it's like physically holding your assets, like gold and silver. David Carl, you must have give the private keys to someone you know. There you go. Donald, Nadia, I hope you haven't offended you. Okay, I don't know what's common sense and nonsense is here. Hey, buddy. I saw your video there. I need to go and take a look at it. I saw you uploaded a video earlier. I hope you're still here, but I'll definitely check that out. We're up to 18 in the chat, which is great. Silver Smokestacks, Coin Hunting Couple is here as well. That's great. Thank you. Thanks for dropping in. We're going to be looking at obviously the 3 crypto precious metals and then fiat. Just catching up the chat here. Linda, hi, Coin Hunting Couple. I was going to do Bitcoin at $20, but I got spooked because of the passport photo request. I tell you what, if you bought at $20, they're talking that Bitcoin is, because eventually the supply is going to go to zero, and then I suspect that's probably where they're coming up with these the same, but the Bitcoin's going to be reaching, the next one's going to be 25,000 or 15,000, 25, 50 grand, 100 grand. 1 million. It's because there's going to be no supply, and it's going to become as rare as precious metals. Essentially, they call it the digital gold. Currently, is Bitcoin. So blimey, I'm a holder in all my assets. There we go. So Nadia's got her private keys. I started in summer 2017 small to get my feet wet in the cryptos, but then bought big in the fall of 2017 during the run-up. Top of the parabolic run-up. Ultimate greed, learned lessons. Yeah, that's probably you've got to be disciplined in regards to this. I know of funny enough, I just there's a new crypto I just recently bought probably 2 weeks ago. It's called I think it's called Wallow. Wallow coin, new coin on the market, but it has utility. So obviously I bought in low, but it was, I'm still making money on it, but it's fell back a bit. But it's more than likely, you don't sell on the low side, wait until it goes up and then sell, I suppose. But again, I'm no one's financial advisor here, but that's the way I do it. David Carlisle, I've hit that like button. Thanks very much. Crypto is rare, says Terry Rabadoo. Question mark. Certain cryptos, obviously Bitcoin only has 21 million. So I was saying in regards to there's only going to be 21 million of them. There's currently 17.5 million in the supply chains. There's only about 3.5 million left. But once they're all mined, there's no more Bitcoin available. And then that's when I suspect that the price is going to really gather pace and skyrocket. Yeah, Nadia is a holder by the sounds of it. She says, I don't try to play the market, especially since I'm new to the game. I buy, hold across all markets, crypto, silver, stocks, which is great. Okay, well, it sounds like you've got a great portfolio. You certainly know what you're doing, by the way, there, because you've got pretty much a good spread. That's awesome, Nadia. What drives the system once all Bitcoins are mined? What drives the system? Well, DB, obviously not a pro in this. It was mainly just to find out what you guys thoughts were in regards to it. Just elaborate on that. What drives the system once all Bitcoins are minted or mined? Clever Coins here. Hey, buddy. Thanks for coming. I know it's probably around 2:20 in Eastern Standard Time. Awesome. Thanks for dropping in. Metal Bottom says, I think Bitcoin will take some time to recover and rebuild as well. Oddly enough, we're going to be taking a look at the actual chart shortly. So anyway, let's get cracking. So when I started in July last year, there were 2,091 cryptos. There's currently now, if we look at the chart here, there's 2,068. So obviously some cryptos have fallen away. And what is probably going to happen is the coins that don't have utility are probably going to fall away, because the coins just won't have utility. And I mean, they're talking, in regards to the news that's out there, they're saying probably up to possibly 95% of the cryptos will probably disappear, mainly due to obviously regulation, which is essentially coming through. Let's have a look. We've got markets. We've got 16,132 markets. Market cap is 121,362,314,813 dollars. The 24-hour volume has been 18.29 billion. Bitcoin dominance is 52.6. So obviously, out of all the 2,000 cryptos that you got there, you've got a 52.6% Bitcoin dominance. DP Stupid says, as I stack metals, I track the zombie index. How often I have to explain the heroin, meth, homeless hordes as we visit major cities? The hordes are getting bigger and spreading. Nadi said, obviously, Litecoin is currently holding. Did you buy in just before that spike? Did you buy in early 30s, Nadia? Because it pretty much jumped up pretty big. I think it was $32, and the next minute it was in 40. I think it went as high as about 44. I think. Did you manage to get in there before that? Clevercoin, thanks very much for that. Everyone hit that like button. Okay, we've got 18 watching at the minute, so let's take a look. So the top 10 cryptos, that's what we're going to focus on. Okay, so obviously we have number one at the top. That's Bitcoin up here. So market cap $63.9 billion. You've got current price is $3,643, and you can see the circulating supply. So that's obviously, this won't tell you what the max supply is. It'll only tell you what the circulating supply is. So obviously 17.5. 24-hour chain. So obviously, things in the green, which is great for a change. You can also see here you've got your price graph there, and that pretty much shows you the activity, and that's on for 7 days. So it'll give you a weekly look. Obviously, if you look at Ethereum, actually, it's pretty much a nice uptrend. Bitcoin on a slight uptrend. Pretty much from the middle there. So again, I think there's a lot of consolidation at the minute. There isn't much activity in regards to the crypto market. I presume Nadia will probably agree. Okay, so Nadia's been holding pretty much for a while now. She said Silver Lime I got in a year ago at 50 to 60. Cool. Nadia says 50 to 75. Nadia says I'm waiting for the drop again, down to 3.4, and I will buy $200 Bitcoin. Okay, so Nadia wants to get back into Bitcoin. That is cool. Kevin Rose is here. Hey Kevin, how you doing? Thanks very much for coming. We're up to 16. There's obviously people dropping in, dropping out. I have no issue with that. Thanks for coming. All right, so we've got Bitcoin at the top. Then we've got Ethereum. There's a link here in regards to Ethereum, Bitcoin, proof of work. Then you've got XRP, which is one of the fastest digital assets out there for let's just say cross border payments. It's, the company that formed that was called Ripple. Then you've got Litecoin. They've really come up. Initially, they were sitting around 7th, 8th. They've really pushed up. They're sitting at $43.72. That was my first taste for crypto, was in Litecoin. That's the first coin I ever had with Litecoin. Then you got EOS, you got Bitcoin Cash, obviously related to Bitcoin. And you got Tether. Tether coins, that is linked to US dollar. So you can see there it says $1. It's pegged. Then you've got Tron, you've got Stellar, you've got Binance coin, which is really, that's interesting. That's coming at number 10. There's a Binance exchange. Binance is an exchange. They obviously have their own coin. I've been keeping an eye on that. It's gone up probably a good $3 to $4, which probably wouldn't have been a bad buy. You can see there by the graph on that how much it's growing. Very interesting. Right, let's move on to this piece of news. Now, everyone's been saying adoption, cryptocurrency. When is it going to happen? Well, guess what happened this week? JP Morgan is rolling out the first US-backed, bank-backed cryptocurrency to transform payments in their business. Now, this is some fantastic news for the cryptocurrency market, because now banks are actually looking at crypto. Now, initially, crypto used to always be on the outside. However, obviously, in regards to how fast it is or how much power it consumes, it is still more economical than, for instance, doing a transfer out of a bank. And here we go. Here's the perfect example here. JP Morgan is rolling out the first US-backed cryptocurrency. Obviously, I'm not going to go into too much detail into their coin. However, it is an internal coin. So it's only going to be available to JP Morgan customers, and then they'll be able to do the transaction. So again, it's a very centralized coin. It's going to be pegged to the US dollar, so it'll be tethered. You know, one JP Morgan coin is going to be equal to $1. It's going to be created and then destroyed. So essentially, it's not going to be a floated crypto. However, that aside, though, this is the big news for crypto, is that you've got a US bank that is going to be using crypto. Again, I'm not going to be going into too much detail. I think I've pretty much summed it up. Interesting. It says JP Morgan's Jamie Dimon has bashed Bitcoin as a fraud. The bank chief and his managers have consistently said blockchain and regulated digital currencies held promise. Obviously, regulation's coming for sure. And digital currencies, oh, there we go. I mean, there's the head guy of JP Morgan. They're saying that only regulated digital and blockchain currencies or cryptos are going to hold value. Let's have a look. We got hey, Celibate Metals here. Hey, buddy, how are you doing? Oh, it's awesome. Thanks for dropping in. Yeah, as I said, I'm not going to go too much into this, but this is big news in regards to just making crypto. There's going to be a lot more people looking at crypto, I suppose, and those that were considering, it's still, pretty on the outside. And then you've got a bank here that's going to be introducing their first cryptocurrency, and a big one at that, JP Morgan. Right, let's move on to this. This is interesting. I just came across this today. Breaking news. Obviously, major crypto brokerage CoinMarma has been hacked. 450,000 users affected in a massive worldwide breach. Now, funny enough, I actually used them. I used them fairly recently when I first got into crypto. I was using them. They were my first exchange. Sorry, I'm just going back to check the chat here. So lots of recent good news. Nasdaq decided this week to list it. JP Morgan backpedaled hard and just released their coin. Yeah, well, I suppose that's it. It's all about playing catch up. Because again, you've got. I'll use XRP as an example. Where their perception of being a banker's coin, because obviously it solves cross-border payments. It costs a fraction to transfer. It doesn't use a lot of power. It's been pre-mined as well, so it's not being mined in China, stuff like that. And it's a separate operating ledger. Whereas you've got JP Morgan here, they control it. Just one big difference here in regards to this cryptocurrency. Because it's a JP Morgan coin, if JP Morgan goes bang, so does the cryptocurrency. So keep that in mind. But the cryptocurrencies that have ledgers, if the company fails that created it, then ledger's still active, which then just keeps running. So people can still use the cryptocurrency. However, with regards to JP Morgan, it's their own cryptocurrency. They create it, they use it, they destroy it. However, obviously, JP Morgan coin cannot function without JP Morgan. Let's put it that way. So just catching up on the chat here. Just popping real quick. But look, thanks, Sal, for dropping in. That's great, man. I'm glad you could make it. Crypto looks like penny stocks trade without fees. More people would buy penny stocks if the trading costs were cheap. Well, I'll tell you what is going to be coming, DB, as well. Like all the newer phones and that are going to be coming with crypto trading. I think Samsung are going to be the first that are going to have an app built into their phone where you can actually access cryptocurrencies via the phone, and you can buy specifically through the phone, which I think is going to be awesome. It's going to change things. This is it's going to be a game changer. But yeah, there's a number. I mean, you've got Wall Street, so you've got NASDAQ that want to list Bitcoin futures. They want to have their own cryptocurrency exchanges. Once the wheels start turning, it's going to be very difficult to stop this. And then what is naturally going to happen is the prices are going to start to move in the right direction. At least that's my thought anyway. And with news like this, with JP Morgan is rolling out the first US-backed cryptocurrency, it's just good news in regards to crypto. Yeah, cheers, Donald. I'll see you. I'll see you later. I think diversifying is a great idea. Funny about JP Coin though, especially after what Jamie Dimon said about Bitcoin being a fraud. My personal thoughts of JP Morgan coin is it's a joke coin. I mean, it's technically a digital fiat. That's basically it. It's only being used. This cryptocurrency coin is only being used for international transfers, cross-border payments. It's also pegged to the US dollar, so again, it's not a holder of value whatsoever. Let's have a look. US bank making it crypto for internal use. May work around for capital requirements in the freezer, possibly. I mean, I was looking the other day. There's a group of the Middle Eastern countries that obviously are trying to get around the embargoes by America in regards to oil exports. So what they've done is they've created they've created a cryptocurrency to get around that issue of being paid in US dollars for oil. I think it was Iran. There was a group of 4 countries. We might just check that out at the end. But that's when I checked that out. I thought, well, it was one way to get around, a very clever way of getting around their embargo was to create a cryptocurrency and just get paid through crypto. JPM, I see it, I like it. You like this crypto? Gee, thanks. Just bought it. How does the ledger work if all coins are mined? That's a very look. I suppose that's a very good question. The ledger is still going to be there for the transactions. Obviously, the supply is going to be used up. I mean, there was an article there. I think it was about 3 weeks ago, where they wanted to. Actually, it was 2 weeks ago, where they wanted to look at getting more supply of Bitcoin. So, but essentially, I don't think that's going to be a good idea because you've already got a max supply. All of a sudden, you're changing the dynamics because the whole point of digital crypto assets is there's a certain supply. If there is an unlimited supply, like pretty much the JP Morgan coin, for instance, got unlimited supply because they can create it and then destroy it. It's no different to fiat. So they have to keep a limit. The whole point of it is that it has a limit, has a certain amount of value to it. But as far as I know, the ledger is separate. The ledger keeps going. Once the wheels start turning, people are going to wake up to the idea of owning physical assets. Well, I'll tell you one thing, DB Stupid, is that the transformation of the system is going to work around blockchain. And believe me, you'll be using cryptocurrency and you won't even know it. They're talking about tokenization of stocks and bonds, treasuries that are, instead of, and even like shares in a company, instead of buying one share, you'll be able to buy a fractional a share. So for instance, if you want to buy an Amazon share, you can put like let's say you wanted $50 worth, you could buy $50 of Amazon. And that's what they're saying is in regards to blockchain, it's going to be a real game changer in regards to making it accessible for the average Joe out there to buy in the market. Essentially, they want you to go through a trader or an exchange or something, in regards to getting stocks, bonds, shares, everything will be tokenized, and that you'll be able to buy, a hundredth of an Amazon share if you wanted to. And that's where the real change is going to be. JP Morgan bluffs everything every time. If they say short silver, go buys. If they say economy is going to do well, sell. I think they were the ones that were apparently was supposed to be hoarding all that silver, if I'm not mistaken. I think it was about a couple of months back that was talking about JP Morgan was. I'm sure it was JP Morgan, guys. Just let me know if that is correct. Yeah, that's correct, Noddy. Yeah, you can buy. It's like when if you want, you don't have to buy a whole Litecoin, or you don't have to buy a whole Bitcoin. I mean, first of all, you've got $3,600 lying around to go and buy a whole Bitcoin, but you can buy $50 worth of Bitcoin or $100 worth of Bitcoin. And likewise, the same thing's going to happen with shares, stocks, and bonds. Is that you'll be able to buy $10 or $5 if you wanted to. You don't necessarily have to buy the full share. Stephen Heath's in the house. Hey, buddy. Donald from New Mexico's back. Can't you get the donuts? I presume probably talking about everyone's talking about these Simpsons coins lately. It's absolutely mad. I think Bullion Bouncer as well. He was sending me messages there in regards to it. He managed to pick some up, and he's flipped them, so he's done fairly well out of them. But everyone seems to be doing the donuts or the Simpsons coins. Right, anyway, so let's move on. Okay, so we've got here this major crypto brokerage coin mama hacked, 450,000 users affected. Right, so obviously this is probably the downside if you keep, and that's why they're saying you've got hard wallets and you've got soft wallets. What I mean by hard wallets and soft wallets, you've got a hard wallet which is like it's almost like a little USB. Nadi is correct. That's right. Fraction of a Bitcoin is called Satoshis. That's correct. I think the Satoshis are measured in up to a millionth of a token. Yeah, sorry. So back to this. So there was a hack in regards to the coin mama where it says 450 accounts were affected, and this was today. So it's saying here is the official statement disclosed that 450,000 emails, addresses, passwords were leaked in a massive global hacking attack involving 24 websites and some 774 million records. How's that? Anyway, so yeah, like I was saying, you've got hard wallets and soft wallets. Soft wallets are kept on exchanges, which means that you can use their obviously their site to keep. You have an account essentially, and you're keeping your crypto on their exchange. It is easier to buy and sell. And then you've got a hard wallet, which is like a USB. You sort of plug it in, you transfer it to the exchange, you sell it, and then you keep it, and then you unplug it so that it's in the drawer. Nobody can get it. It'd be interesting to see is Nadia Silva. Have you got a hard wallet or a soft wallet? Nadia says top hard wallets, Ledger and Trezor. Obviously, Nadia is familiar there with the hard and the soft wallet. Top soft wallet, Coinbase. Also, best to use soft wallets for that particular coin, as it's secured by the supporting coin company. Thanks very much for that, Nadia. Appreciate that. Linda Sheffer, got to go. Thanks very much, Linda, for sticking around. Metal Bums here. He's just saying hello. Right. Okay. So very interesting. Obviously, it just seems to be that it's difficult to, as far as I know, it's difficult to hack into an specific account, but it's far easier to hack into an exchange. So all it is just about keeping your assets safe. Make sure you've got an extremely heavy password, and then just keep all that. I've got I use the Google. It's like a generator. It generates a particular number. I'm absolutely max out the security. Do the fingerprint, the lot. Just keep your digital assets safe. Right, here we go. So this is the Bitcoin. Oh, it's gone up. It's okay. It was at 3.6 just before it started. It's up to 3.7, 3,705. Now, what I've done is I've given you sort of an idea here of this is over the last 5 years. That's obviously thousands. So we can see there was the high, and that's currently where we're at right now. This is a useful site. It's tradingview.com for those that actually use it. I use it. I check it pretty much every day. It's kind of driving me mad now, checking it because there isn't much happening in regards to the activity for crypto. So it's driving me a bit mad. So I might just leave it for a while now. But let's check the full chart. Okay, so Bitcoin $3,705 currently. It is higher than what it was, because it was at the beginning of the week. It was about 3,400. Nadia says, I've been playing with the idea, but I think I will wait another 4 months before deciding on either Trezor or Ledger. Yeah, I think the Ledger Nano S, and there's apparently a Bluetooth version called the Ledger Nano X. Apparently is a very good. It's a very good wallet. For now, I have soft wallets, no good, but I need to bide my time. Yeah, look, I suppose. I mean, as I was saying there, it's a matter of just keeping, maximizing your security as best you can if it's on an exchange. Are there any questions at the minute from anybody? Silver Limey, I like your videos. Thanks very much, Metal Bub. If you guys haven't checked that latest one that I uploaded this morning, check it out when you can. All right, so here's the Bitcoin chart. Okay, so there we go. That was 3.4. That was on the 8th of February. You can see there was a massive spike there. And then this is where we are at the minute, so 3.705. Again, really, it's just accumulating at the minute. It's not really, it's sort of flat. Right, so I'm going to just basically keep it there in regards to Bitcoin. So are there any other questions before we move on to precious metals? Oh, right, I didn't know that they've got three. Ledger has three. I just know of the S and the X. There might be sort of a basic one. No, let's leave that. It's also pretty handy to get the news here. So, for instance, you can have a look in the right-hand corner there. It'll give you headlines for Bitcoin or whatever coin you want to check out. Ethereum price holds on its own despite jab. Uber drags. Okay, Draconian. Talking about that. Integrate. They want to. Rakuten Pay will integrate Bitcoin support by March 2019. That's interesting. Let's check that out. Yeah, it's pretty much a basic hard wallet there, Nadia. Sorry, I hope everyone's still there. Okay, we still got 15. All right, so let's check this out. This was on Rakuten Pay will integrate Bitcoin support by March 2019. Okay, in the world of finance, there's a growing demand for contactless and instant payment solutions. Rakuten, one of the famous Asian technology giants, acknowledges this demand. The company is expanding the functionality of payments and will also integrate cryptocurrency support and unexpected positive turn of events. Okay, so it looks like they're going to be integrating crypto through their Pay app, which is great news again. So again, this is all positive in regards to crypto. Right, let's look at the precious metals. So we're going to be looking at, this is obviously what all of us currently get involved in. Donald's off. Donald, thanks for dropping in, buddy. Carl Electrum, crypto was too scary, like Skynet. Steve says he's got a Porsche. Precious metals currently from the weekly roundup. Gold prices hit 2-week high. Gold prices 2-week high on Friday, the 15th, on expectations that the U.S. Federal Reserve will stick to its dovish stance on the monetary tightening after releasing a week of U.S. economic data. Excuse me. Gold is watching oil evaporate. Market is continually bearish as at lows and bullish at highs. It says the end of the Fed tightening cycle now looms, which improves the overall backdrop for gold significantly. With the Fed on hold, there's less pressure to be for the rest of the globe to keep pace. So there's a good chance that there's going to be a nice little increase in gold then. As a result, gold has been able to hold its ground against the rising US dollar, which was trading 0.02% higher on Friday. The world economy is slowing very rapidly, and therefore monetary policy everywhere will be eased. So the outlook is more inflationary, helping gold. All right, so there we go. I'll read that again. The world economy is slowing very rapidly, and therefore monetary policy everywhere will be eased. So the outlook is a lot more inflationary, helping gold, said Alistair McLeod, head of research at goldmoney.com. Right, as of 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, gold was trading at $1,317 an ounce. Again, if we have a look, I think just before Christmas, how much was gold? There we go. Nadia's just put the ledger in case anyone wants to check that out. So we have, I think it was just over $1,000 now. So between the December period and here we are in February, it's gone up almost $300. Let's call it that. $250 an ounce. I think that's a pretty good return if someone had bought gold, quite a good amount of gold now and sold now. But yeah, I mean that's a pretty good return for now. Looking over to silver, the white metal lost 0.1% on Friday, and is on track for a weekly loss as of 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Silver was trading at 1567. Obviously, platinum inched upwards 0.5%, at $789.15. Palladium surged to an all-time high of $1,434.50. Isn't that exciting, guys? Stephen E says, did Mrs. Limey enjoy a fried silver? She did enjoy the video, though. Bullish commentary, including Johnson Matty, on winding deficits for 2019. This week saw palladium closed clearly above $1,400 yesterday, which has been driven more buying today. So obviously, once it breaks a certain resistance and breaks through it, you tend to see quite a bit more of a jump higher. That naturally comes that way. The size of the deficit was bigger than expected. Okay, then you got some stories about some gold projects and some gold assets there. We're going to move that down here. Right, have a look at this little piece here that I came across. The history of the gold standard. Blazing Doob, awesome. Very well on you. Thanks for dropping in, buddy. Okay, so we'll look at the history of the gold standard. Although no government currently uses the gold standard, it's important to examine its historical roots to get a better understanding of how the current economic landscape came to be. Okay, so from its introduction in the 1800s to a complete removal in 1971. Obviously, the gold standard was introduced by the Bank of England in the 1800s, and of course, then once the gold standard had been in place by the United Kingdom, it then started to filter through to the other countries. So what we have here is a better understanding of how current economic landscapes came to be. From this introduction in the 1800s to its complete removal in 1971, also known as the Nixon shock, for those that aren't familiar with the gold standard and the Bretton Woods system. The pros and cons of the gold standard have been widely debated, with whispers that Donald Trump is interested in bringing it back to the United States. I want to read that again. So the pros and cons of gold standard have been widely debated, with whispers that President Donald Trump is interested in bringing it back to the United States. What do you guys think of that? Do you think that bringing back the gold standard is a viable option? In this article, we provide an overview of the gold standard and when it began, as well as why and when it was removed, and what it was replaced with. I'm old enough to remember Nixon, David says. What was that? Oh, geez. How old were we? Well, actually, no. I'd rather not answer that question. Sorry. He just says he was old enough to remember Nixon. Let's have a look. Okay, so we're going to skip the other precious metal news. Go back down. Let's see. We've got gold investing, tags, replies, comments. Right. Right, here's another one. This is another one I got. Gold prices holding gains following rise in the Empire State Manufacturing Survey. Sorry, I'm just checking the chat here. Okay, nothing yet. Right, so New York region manufacturing sector found new momentum in February with this latest data. Gold market is seeing little reaction to the rise in the Federal Reserve Empire State Manufacturing Surveys. Again, we're going to gold prices were already seeing some modest buying pressures ahead of the data and remain relatively unchanged following initial reaction. April gold futures last traded at 1,320 an ounce, up 0.51 on the day. Again, this was on the 15th of February. Obviously, that was yesterday because there's no gold trading on the weekend. And there you go. You can see it there. Again, these reds are selling, and obviously the green is buying. Now, again, don't be too alarmed at that. You might think, wow, that's quite a big candle. We refer to these as candles because you can see the little wick on the top. However, if you look there where that middle one is, where I'm pointing the little the mouse button, it's 1,317 at the bottom here, and it's only 1,300 and maybe 1890 or something at the top here. So again, that looks quite drastic, but it actually isn't. It's quite small money. However, just look at the volume here on this bottom one here. Isn't that interesting? There's more volume. Well, look at where the volume is up here. So when there's more buying, well, essentially there's more volume, it could push the price up. Sorry, that's just comments. We don't go into that. Right, so we're going to have a look at. Let's have a look at the prices at the minute. So there we go. Gold price $1,322. Silver price at $1,584. Platinum price at $812. Palladium price $1,437. Tommy Soprano's here. Hey Tommy, how are you doing? Thanks for dropping in. So we got 1934.11. Dep Spader. Hey Silver Limey. Hey everybody. Thanks very much for dropping in, man. Awesome. You're welcome to check out the playback. You can check the early one. We're currently on precious metals currently at the minute. Let's see, we're up to 15 at the minute. That's awesome. Right, okay, so we're looking at prices here now. The reason why I have this chart open is so we can see pretty much from July 2010 to where we are now in the price. What is going to be interesting though is between this area here, the high was 1,397, and that was in 2013. And I've got a good feeling that we're going to be breaking that relatively soon. And then where do we go from there? You know, the next in the last, let's say if we were to go roll the clock back there in April, we were at 1,599. So I reckon that once we break 1,400, there's going to be some more buying, and then a bit of consolidation, some selling, and then it just depends on what's happening in the market that will affect that. But I reckon we've got a good chance of breaking the 1,400. Silver price. Okay, so let's take a look here. Let's go click on silver. It'll be interesting to see how the difference in the graph here is going to change. Well, look at that. And there's a bit of a blip over here, but again, it's not much. I mean, if you think about when I showed you the gold chart, is we're starting to see a lot of highs that we haven't seen in 5-6 years. However, if you look here, we're still relatively low. There it is. Obviously, 1584. We could be 1584, 16. That one there, $20. I think it's going to take some time before it even gets up to that level. It'd just be great to keep it above the sort of 16, keep it in the 1650 range, give it enough momentum then to sort of push through to the 17s. But it all depends on supply, I suppose. But yeah, still got some time to go. Platinum, there we go. Silver price, confidence is appropriate. Anyone looked at the silver price in the chart the last 10 years can quickly spot two important factors. Silver offers yield-seeking investors enormous odds. Okay, so obviously what that means is it's got an enormous potential for growth. The evolution of silver is characterized by sometimes drastic setbacks in the share price. How do you explain this overall developments in the price of silver? Which factors are the most decisive for the piece of silver? What kinds of speculation and manipulations take place? We've got fiat money and precious metals, fiction versus reality. That's actually a good way to summarize fiat as fiction, and the precious metals as reality. The rising prices of silver in euros and US dollars are primarily due to the simple and well-established fact the money supply in the US and the Eurozone is expanding. Europeans, unlike Americans, at least know the Gelmengengewicht. Exactly, I'm not sure. I might have to look that word up to find out exactly what that is. In fact, let's just do that now. Obviously, Geld means gold, Goldmengens something. So I'm going to just do a quick search there. Let's see exactly what that word is. Otherwise, we're not really going to know the meaning. Alternative money concepts. Okay, alternative money concepts. Sorry, let me find where the hell we were again. There we go. Right, yeah. So it says in January 2000 to January 2012, the total money for the European Central Bank increased by 4.7 billion to from 4.715 billion to 9.75 billion euros, an increase of 106%. However, in the United States, the announcement of the money supply in 2006 was adjusted, so there was no longer official figures. So I'll say that again. The money supply in 2006 was adjusted, so there are no longer official figures. So no one really knows how much is out there. I mean, that was pretty scary. But we're down to 12 watching currently. Stephen E says silver can stay low for now. I'm getting ready for a big purchase. I suppose the dangers with that, Stephen, is you have to get in at some point. And I mean, I was thinking the other day, I said I want to try and get some gold, and I was like, well, maybe I could save up for a bigger piece. But then by the time you're ready to buy, it's gone up by, let's say, $10 or $20. All of a sudden, you could have bought the 10-ounce or the fractional gold beforehand, and you could have been exactly where you were now, or in fact, you would have been better off. So, you know, again, I'm obviously not a financial advisor, but think of it that way. And that's what I was thinking, like maybe I should buy a smaller fractional now rather than have to build up the money to buy more gold. Anyway, right, so when the money supply cannot keep up with economic growth, the value of the currency inevitably decreases. So there you go. When the money supply cannot keep up with the economic growth, the value of the currency inevitably decreases. And we're going to be talking about that value in a second. There we go. Here's a good question. How can you accurately measure the reserve currency, the US dollar, and other major currencies such as the euro, yen, British pound, that will all suffer the same development? Answer: gold and silver are the two precious metals that have been used for thousands of years to reflect the value of goods. Unlike so-called fiat money that can be multiplied at will, whose value can be represented today officially only in other fiat money, the amount is limited to precious metals available at any time to a specific amount. The price of gold and silver is therefore largely nothing more than a currency devaluation viewed from a reasonable base. So the price of gold and silver are therefore largely nothing more than a currency devaluation viewed by a reasonable base. And then it goes into industrial uses of silver and so on. Pretty interesting though. Fiction versus reality. DB Stupid says he's back. Awesome, thank you. The 12-volt dog bed heater for the car is fixed. Oh, well, that sounds cool. DB Stupid says in a fiat system, it is the strength of the economy that is the fiat in question. Well, yeah, technically yes, that and also ensuring that you have faith in the money system, and that is what we're going to touch on shortly, because I'm going to give you some examples of currencies that have failed. Stephen says, only buy quarter ounce Britannias. I got some silver odds and ends to get. Okay, that's awesome, man. What sort of dog do you have there, DB Stupid? Okay, so let's have a look here. Right, here we go. This is a great article if you guys haven't seen it. This is stuff. This is a New Zealand site. It says Fiat cash is king. But what is fiat money? What is fiat money? And this was published on the 12th of February. So again, refresh in your minds. Analysis. Good old cash. Paper and coins that we use to buy everyday items like milk or newspaper isn't valuable in itself. Neither are those digital numbers that you see in your bank account. Okay, so again, there's no particular value in it. You just see some numbers that determine that it's technically good for. Those numbers are good for 2,000 euros or $2,000 or £2,000. Perhaps we take for granted that using cash to buy goods and services implies there's something of real value backing it. And historically, there was gold, a hard asset of a perennial value that still attracts investors who like an asset that is easily to be moved around. So obviously gold, very liquid when you need to get rid of it. And there it is. And actually it says that depending on how much and how heavy it is, and liquidated quickly. Today, currencies are backed by governments rather than physical reserves. And interesting enough, do you guys know when the first fiat money came into the system? Does anyone know when that happened? So he's got 3 heater beds for the Cavalier. Wow, okay, King Charles Cavalier, awesome. The bushel of corn cost $2. A bushel of corn cost $2 one year and cost $1 the following year. Is there something wrong with the corn? Again, that could be a reflection of value. It could also, you never know, lower fuel prices maybe that made it cheaper. Don't forget, there's a whole bunch of knock-on effects that cost, because when you're working a business, you've got electricity, you've got water, you've got all kinds of other expenses that need to be worked in that work out to that cob of corn there to be equal to a certain amount. So it could be for that particular time that it was cheaper for them to produce, so they passed that on to the supermarket chain, and of course they then passed it on to the customers. David, is there more than corn than needed? Okay, so DB Super says like 800 AD, I think. Well, no, it was actually the American Civil War. Obviously, you had Lincoln, obviously, who was the president at that particular time. Obviously, he needed funds to fund the war with the South. So obviously, he went to the banks first, but obviously they wanted to offer him money at a ridiculous rate of interest, and he didn't want to do that. So what he did was he created the greenback, which was a government's legalized tender of the U.S. currency. Oh well, look. Funny enough, we can go back. Yeah, that's right. I think they were called they were pieces of wood, if I remember correctly. DB Stupid. Sorry, apologies. I meant from a modern sense of paper money. But yeah, they back then I think it was about 800 AD or something. There were kings that represent these wooden sticks that were obviously considered legal tender by the king, and of course, whatever the king said was God. So whoever had these particular, I can't remember what they were called. They were called something sticks, and if you carry these sticks, you could exchange them. They were good for the value. But yeah, pretty much the same thing here. You've got the greenback came in that was printed, that was honored by the U.S. government, and what it did was it ran parallel to the currency. That obviously that was backed by gold that the banks produced. So it was legal tender. And it ran next to each other. Obviously, after the Civil War had been won, the bank wanted to withdraw those greenbacks because it was zero interest. There was no interest on those greenbacks. That was the big difference between the bank's money and the greenback was. The greenback had no interest whatsoever. And funny enough, the families, the average living, the people back then were better off, obviously, because they had a currency that was backed, obviously, that was honoured by the government. You couldn't change it for gold, though, obviously, because it wasn't backed by gold. It was fiat money, but it was the government pushed it through. It had 1-to-1 to the gold-backed currency. Metalbum says, "Hey Silverlami, thanks for the great feed and the channel. I've got to head out. I'll watch later on stream." Well, thanks, bud. When you find the time, what I tend to do is with some of the streams, I just tend to listen to them in the car. So if you are in the car, you can always stream it from your phone. That's essentially what I do, because it's quite a lot of time. If you think about it, it's nearly 2 hours of just sitting there listening to me talk. But you can try that out. That's essentially what I do. Metalbum says, "Check out my videos when you get a chance." I'll certainly do that, Metalbum. I'll probably do that afterwards. Probably have to get dinner on shortly anyway. I'm sure Stephen Heath will have something to say about that. Barter sticks. Yeah. No, they were called something else. I can't remember. If you, I'll see if tally sticks or something like that. That might have been called. Tally sticks. I think that might have been it. The tally stick. Yes, that's it. I actually got it right. It was called the tally stick. There it is. It's a medieval English split tally stick. The stick is notched and inscribed with a to record a debt owed by the rural dean. Obviously, so it had the debt owed on that tally stick, and you could then, because it was honoured by the king at that time, you could then hand it to the person, and the debt was technically paid. Here we go. The tally stick, an ancient memory aid device used to record and document numbers, quantities, and even messages. Tally sticks first appeared with animal bones that were carved with notches. There you go. Notable example. Single tally stick. I'll see if tally sticks. There we go. This is it. The most prominent, best recorded use of the split tally stick or neck stick being used as a form of currency was when Henry I introduced the tally stick system in medieval England, and around 1100. Excuse me, 1100. He would accept the tally stick only for taxes, and it would be a tool of the exchequer for the collection of taxes by local sheriffs. And it says tax farmers for 7 centuries. The split tally of the exchequer was in continuous use until 1826. Can you believe that? I didn't even know that. I thought it was a limited period, because by then, I mean, you had a continuous flow of money. But there it is. I mean, it says there it was continuing in use until 1826. In 1834, tally sticks represented 6 centuries worth of financial records were ordered to be burned in stoves in the Houses of Parliament. The resulting fire set a chimney ablaze and then spread across most of the buildings, were destroyed. So obviously, when they decided to destroy all these tally sticks that must have been gathering, it created a huge fire, apparently, and burnt out most of the buildings. That's quite funny. The event was described in Charles Dickens's 1855 article on administrative reform. The system of tally marks of the exchequer is described as the dialogue concerning the exchequer as follows. The manner of cuttings is as follows. At the top of the tally, a cut is made, the thickness of the palm of a hand to represent £1,000, then £100 by the cut of the breadth of the thumb, £20, and the breadth of the little finger as a single pound. The width of the swollen barleycorn, a shilling. So obviously they had different sizes. The cuts were made in full widths of a stick. After splitting the portion, it kept the issuer. Each stick had the above details of the transaction written in it in ink to make it a valid record. Royal tallies, debt of the crown, also played a role in the formation of the Bank of England at the end of the 17th century. In 1697, the bank issued £1 million worth of stock in exchange for £800,000 worth of tallies as at par, and 200,000 pounds in banknotes. The new stock was said to be engrafted. The government promised not only to pay the bank interest on the tallies subscribed, but to redeem them over a period of years. Interesting. There's a piece of history for you. Tally stick. Yeah, so today currencies are backed by governments rather than physical reserves. Andrew Coleman, senior lecturer in economics at the Otago University, said legal tender settlements cannot be refused. It's really what's giving the fiat money its full power is that it can be used to extinguish legal claims or financial claims between parties and can't be refused by the creditor, he said. Just checking here. Check out my. Okay, I've done that. Check out my tally sticks. Yeah, that's it. Spot on. Don't touch me, tally. Stephen came out and play it. The Stacking Kid gotta go. Cheers. Thanks for sticking around, Stacking Kid. Just imagine getting a hold of someone's tally stick and just carving the heck out of it and running up their debt. That's an interesting way to do it. No problem, David. Thanks for sticking around, buddy. Take care. Thanks a lot. What's for dinner tonight? I'm probably going to have pizza tonight, Stephen. So here we go. We've got, obviously it's a New Zealand article, and he's got the old florin, or sorry, the $1. Same image on the florin. The value of money isn't based on what it's made from or backed by, the Reserve Bank spokesman said. Reserve Bank spokesman said fiat money works on the basis that people in society generally agree that it should. The Reserve Bank spokesman said fiat money works on the basis that people in society generally agree that it should. The value of money is based on the promise to exchange value. So obviously, like your €1, your £1, it's worth £1 in exchange. So it holds £1 of value in it. The value of money is based on the promise to exchange value, act as a store of value, and act as a unit of account. The value of money isn't based on what it's made from or backed by. On the flip side, it means that if people lose faith in the currency, or it loses value through hyperinflation, as happened in Zimbabwe a decade ago, there's nothing to prop it up. So obviously that's the downside. When you lose faith in the currency, it starts to spiral out of control, and then you can't get it back. So I suppose when you think about the bankers, everyone's waiting for this sort of economic collapse to happen. You know, the drop in the dollars, they're just keeping it going. They have no choice, but they've got to keep faith in the system to keep it going. So the dollar collapses, you've got a lot of banks, central banks out there that hold forex dollars as a reserve, and that's something we're gonna touch up on shortly. We've seen that a few currencies over the years. We've seen that with a few currencies over the years. Said that Brazil, Argentina, Venezuela. These are a few of the classic cases where things have gone the wrong way, and there's too much of the currency, and the currency has become worthless. So I think that's something we can all agree on. This poses big problems for the country in such a position because its purchasing power is diminished. There you go. Obviously, that can't happen with a legal tender-backed precious metal. So, for instance, your Australian, your Perth Mint coins, all backed by the US government, backed by bullion, has the $1 face value to it. You've got the Britannias, £2 face value, backed by silver. Obviously, has a particular silver bullion value to it. But again, it doesn't replace the actual fiat money, which is not backed by anything. The country struggles to import stuff, and you can get yourself into all sorts of trouble. So obviously, if let's say if the purchasing power starts to diminish, then it becomes more and more. You have to print more money to get more stuff in, so you end up printing more money, which devalues the currency further. There we go. So, trouble the debt based on countries, the size of the debt can go through the roof. And there we go. So we got Bretton Woods. This is a great system. So obviously you had the gold standard in from the mid 1800s that went through all the way through until World War II. Then they decided, well, there was a lot of countries that went off the gold standard from 1933, USA being one of them, and of course you had the pound sterling. So in 1944, Bretton Woods system came in. The currency backed by the value of gold was ditched in 1944. The beginning of the post-war world, where huge structural shifts began to take place in the world order. The US dollar's ascendance to the world's global reserve currency at the famous Bretton Woods conference in New Hampshire became the linchpin of the new system. So obviously it had changed from because initially US dollars were backed by gold and like with a pound sterling, that the importance of the US dollar in the world started to grow, and eventually Bretton Woods were then using it as a peg with other currencies. So by pegging currencies to gold with a fixed rate of exchange, putting the dollar at the center of the new order, currencies could now be redeemed in US dollars instead of gold. Obviously, that all changed in 1971 when the Nixon shock happened. But in 1971, it all changed. President Nixon wanted out of the Bretton Woods system and began to deflate the dollar's value in gold, eventually unpegging it completely. What they did was they tried to keep it pegged to gold, but they were having to adjust it constantly, because what was happening was you had breakout of gold happening, and they were just constantly, they had to reevaluate the gold dollar pricing. I think it happened about 3 times until they thought, nah, stuff this. And I think the last change was in 1968. So began to deflate the dollar's value in gold, eventually unpegging it completely, giving birth to the US dollar as fiat. And then it was no longer backed by any form of precious metal. So why ditch the gold? Fiat money is not limited. There is no set amount. The central banks can create liquidity through quantitative easing, money printing, adjust interest rates, and control credit supply. There's some nice bars there. Gold been trading at over 1,000 US an ounce since 2009. So it's been consistently in 2009 onwards. It's been above $1,000 point. Excuse me. Here's an interesting one. Was the financial crash linked to fiat? It can be argued that fiat is a double-edged sword. I hope you guys are still listening to me there. Fiat money, artificially low interest rates, and never any expansion of debt go on in hand, said Nathan Berg, an associate professor of economics at Otago University. Berg explained the ability of central banks to manipulate interest rates and keep them unnaturally low leads to asset bubbles. Asset bubbles led to the 2008 financial crisis. Asset bubbles led to the 2008 financial crisis. Andre G's here. Hey, Andre, how you doing? Thanks for dropping in, buddy. The first dot-com crash of the 1990s, and then the subprime mortgage bubble that triggered the crash when Lehman Brothers went bust. In both cases, over-leveraged debt made possible by low interest rates was a key factor. Berg said low interest rates were negatively affected. Obviously, it's a New Zealand article, so it says negatively affected Kiwis too. I'm just going to bypass this here. Coleman said, on the other hand, fiat currencies were designed for the very purpose of giving central banks the ability to avert a looming financial crisis. So that means print loads of cash when they have to. This quantitative easing, where there's a massive expansion of the money supply during a time of crisis, is exactly what's meant to happen. Berg said a return to the gold standard would end in ultimate credit expansion, inflation targeting, and would allow for the reversal of income inequality. So I think basically he's saying that by a return to the gold standard, it wouldn't necessarily work. I'd probably agree with that, because you've got gold's constantly, it's going to be difficult to peg currencies to gold currently, because gold's just growing all the time. So it'll be difficult to say that, well, we're going to peg the US dollar to 1/20th of an ounce of gold like they did in the 1900s. They pegged the US dollar was equal to 1/20th of an ounce of gold. So it'll be very difficult to do that nowadays. Whereas obviously gold back in, before the 70s, it was pretty consistent. But now, on the other hand, with regards to what's happening in the market, you didn't have all this money supply in the market back then. It can be very, very hard to do. There is so much obfuscation in the language used to describe money printing and its mechanics. If people understood what was going on, they would be furious. Here we go. Facts about fiat. World fiat comes from Latin meaning "let it be done." that I didn't know actually. Fiat, well, I suppose Fiat, like Fiat cars, let it be done. It says here, New Zealand turned to Fiat in 1914, ending redeemability in gold and making legal notes legal tender. Balance sheets of the US Federal Reserve grew from an already whopping 870 billion in 2007 to a mind-blowing 4.5 trillion in 2015 through electronic money printing. Historically, one of the most inflated pieces of fiat money is this bill for the Zimbabwean $100 trillion banknote from 2009. I think there might be an image here. Let's check it out for those that haven't seen it. If you guys haven't seen the Zimbabwe banknote, I'll just show it to you now. That's what happens when your currency is effectively worth nothing. $100 trillion banknotes. There we go, and they're selling it for $319. That's a collector's piece. I had a printer like that. That's a bit of a joke. Anyway, that's that article finished. Then we got loads of comments. So there we go. A short history of major fiat currency collapses and what triggered them. So earlier this year, this was printed. I try to keep everything as fresh as possible. This was printed today. This is February 16th. This was by Bitcoin.com. So obviously they're trying to, get you to consider Bitcoin versus fiat currencies. It said earlier this year, we witnessed a mini flash crash that hit fiat currency markets. It took approximately 7 minutes for the Australian dollar to plummet against the yen, which surged in levels last held almost a decade ago, 10 years ago. Wow. Okay, so it's got the USD, the world's reserve currency. Before we run down some of the major currency crashes in history, it's worth noting that the world's reserve currency is currently the US dollar. Obviously, it's going to mention the Bretton Woods system, which I'm going to go through. I won't go over again. Prior to the dollar, the British pound sterling was the dominant global reserve currency. And that's because, obviously, the British Empire basically controlled 1/5 of the world. So naturally, it would have been the reserve currency. Both the euro and the Japanese yen have also become increasingly popular as reserve currency, given the size of the respective economies. The strength of the US dollar is crucial. For example, a strong dollar or increase in exchange rates is better than for individuals because it makes imports cheaper and lowers inflation. Earlier this year, the Bank of England Governor Mark Carney said the Chinese yuan could be an alternative reserve currency, referring to the Chinese currency. Carney said, as the world reorders and disconnects between the real and financial, it's likely to reduce, and in the process, other reserve currencies may emerge. In first instance, I would expect this to be existing national currencies such as the RMB. What's also interesting is there's Russia and China are buying up a lot of gold. So you never know, the Chinese might be looking at backing their currency with gold at some point, which I think would be pretty awesome. Andrew G says 50 million mark. You might need to just refresh my memory on that. Doctor Who's here. He says Silver Lime have around 25 silver crypto coins or bitcoins, including the Gold Titan. That's awesome, buddy. I guess it's probably silver rounds. What's the highest denomination note you've ever held? Me. That is a good question. There hasn't been that many, to be honest. I think it might have been a lira. I had like an old Turkish lira note, and I think that was 50,000 lira. But I mean, again, it wasn't really worth much. But nothing on that sort of on that sort of extent. It says most of the world's currency prices fluctuate based on supply and demand in foreign exchange markets. The stability of the currency depends on the consumer confidence. So again, that is the most important factor for fiat, is consumer confidence. The political state and economic performance. So obviously, strong economy, good political state, and good confidence in your currency affect the strength. Those interested in crypto should review the history of currency crashes in order to better understand volatility and how easy it is for currencies to rise and fall. And that gives you some examples here. The Venezuelan bolivar. Let's see if it gives anything. Declared an economic war due to shortages in Venezuela. Since the crisis has only intensified under Maduro's government, growing more severe as a result of low oil prices, the drop in oil production from a lack of maintenance and investment. In 2017, the U.S. President Donald Trump signed an executive order that prohibits dealing in new debt from Venezuelan government for its state oil company. The situation has forced Maduro to sidestep the U.S. and phase in the use of controversial digital currencies. There you go. So, for instance, Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies, that's where they would come in handy. Sidestep the US dollars, use crypto. The vicious cycle, there it is. Obviously, they show you some graphs here. Venezuela floods the market with newly printed money. Obviously, there you go. You can see the money supply goes right up there. And then you've got the Bolivar has lost value against the dollar. Obviously, as they've printed more cash, then essentially the faith in the money supply dwindles, faith in the government. So like I said, if you go back up here, it says, depends on the consumer confidence, which isn't good there, political state, which isn't good there, economic performance, which isn't good, which then affects the currency strength. So all three of them, no good. And what happened? There you go. And I presume that's probably, what's that, probably $450 Bolivar dollars versus to $1 US. Doctor Who says, I bought all as a collector's at a collector collecting. How can I tell what they're worth beyond the collector of crypto value? Are they, I mean, I suppose if they're silver, then they're worth bullion price. I suspect. So if it's an ounce of silver, or if it's an ounce of copper, or an ounce of gold, it'll be whatever the weight is. I don't think it's measured in regards to what the actual price is. Doctor Who. Some are North coins as shown in my video, and list 25. I'll definitely check that out though. Once I'm finished here, I'll go on there and I'll check that out. Difficult trends to reverse given dwindling reserves. So foreign currency reserves in billions. There you go. You can see it's dropping off. Zimbabwean dollar, another one. The Republic of Zimbabwe and Southern Africa experienced the worst of its inflation in 2008, which led to the abandonment of the currency. Now, again, that was mainly because the poor political situation. Again, you've got people dumping the Zim dollar because of investment situations. They don't feel comfortable with that. And then, of course, consumer confidence then was rampant. They didn't trust and they were buying up foreign currency. And then that was it. It pretty much spiraled out of control. So you got peak hyperinflation occurred in 2008 with the rate estimate at 79,600,000% per month. This resulted in the US $1 becoming equivalent to a staggering sum of 2,621,000 Zim dollars. That was in 2008. Argentinian peso. Since its independence from Spain in 1816, the country has defaulted on its debt many times and inflation has occurred, often in double digits. Argentina experienced record growth until OPEC oil embargo in the mid-1970s. After this, the civil and political unrest followed, and the budget and trade deficits threatened to onset the severe recession. Triggered by this, the government resorted to printing money. Military coup in '76 brought further economic decline and more inflation as the money supply continued to expand. Again, printed more money, political situation no good, lack of consumer confidence in the currency. In 1982, the GDP was in free fall and dropped by 12%. The worst since the Great Depression. And I can pretty much go on here, guys. I'm just talking about the Turkish lira. In 2018, I think everyone heard about that. Icelandic krona, that was during that financial crisis. One of the banks defaulted on a $62 billion of foreign debt. So obviously they were quite happy to loan out large sums of cash, probably unsecured loans by the sounds of it. And trust in banks faded and led to a sharp depreciation of the krona. Let's have a look here. Heart of gold. Do you think crypto would replace gold and silver in the near future, Liney? Well, I think accessibility to silver and gold. Let's just say you won't have to physically hold it, but you can, for instance, use an app, and you'll be able to buy fractions of gold, fractions of silver, and keep it stored in an account which is going to be linked to a physical kind of safe amount of gold where they will be storing it. Apparently that's what a lot of the Perth Mint app has started doing that. They use blockchain. Whether it replace it from a physical perspective, I think it's going to keep going. Silver and gold as a resource and a physical investment will not go away, for sure. Do you think? Let's have a look. Steve Rice is here. Put crypto in Limey's magic frying pan and see what happens. Hey, you enjoyed that one, Steve. Others have a. Let's have a look. Doctor Who says others have a square debt sign on the back. Silver around a quarter ounce to 5 ounce. The gold is 1 ounce. Oh, that's awesome. Sounds like you got some great stuff there. Barbara Carbone. Barbara Carbone is here. Okay, so Stephen Heath. If you don't hold it, you don't own it. Stephen, that is a very good example. However, you can hold digital assets, physical, but you got to keep them on a hard wallet. Just out of interest. Okay, so Dr. Hughes is apparently Silver Slayer lost people 300,000. Jeez, okay, that's quite a bit. Look, in the game, you got to know what you're doing. I mean, at the end of the day, you're responsible. I mean, we're all adults, so you're responsible with your own cash, really. Coin Junkie AG is here. Hey, buddy, thanks for coming in. We're sort of wrapping up here. I've got a couple of articles left here. Bob says, "Hi, Stephen. Thanks so much for the chalk eggs. That sounds great. Hot of gold. You need to trust the person storing. It's quite a bit. Yeah, look, I mean, if you're using the problem, I suppose, is trust. If you're buying digitally, it's probably no different to you buying shares in a company, or it depends on the individual. Do you want to be someone who holds the asset physically in your hand, or are you comfortable for someone else to hold it for you in a safe somewhere, and yet you'll be shown an account that says you own 2 ounces of gold, and you're able to, let's say it's exchangeable. You can exchange that for the physical element of it. Then that wouldn't be a bad idea. But again, someone else is storing it, and you're not physically holding it. I had no idea I was buying. I just like the designs. Yeah, look, again, Doctor Who, if you like it, buy it. Again, I'm just saying that from a perspective. Do what you feel that you want to do with your money. If you like it, then obviously you buy it. I mean, we're all let's say we like things. If we like something, we go out and buy it. Silver Slayer got most of it from scams he promoted. Well, anyway, I'm going to just try and finish up here, guys. All right, so we got the Icelandic krona. Everyone knows about the Turkish lira. That's pretty much last year. The euro shows that fiat money system is more expensive than we thought. So this is obviously a cost money to keep the system going. So this is the 23rd of January this year. So I haven't used any old articles. Everything's been sort of fairly up to date. The traditional arguments for the fiduciary media and ultimately unbacked fiat money was based on the cost of production. The central banks of the euro area are not subject to strict profit and loss calculation. They can finance their expenses out of profits from the monetary policy. The traditional arguments. Sorry, guys, just give me a sec. Right, okay. The traditional argument for the fiduciary media is the ultimately unbacked fiat costs based on costs of production. The real resources otherwise used for gold mining and minting could, under a fiat standard, be used to other productive purposes, and that's enrich society as a whole. The argument goes back at least to such great names as Adam Smith and David Ricardo. More recently, this fellow Milton Friedman reinvigorated the argument. Are we still today presented with the standard textbooks? Okay, again, let's have a look. In fact, okay, there we go. Talk about expenses of the euro system. I'm talking about reserves. So the annual operating expenses of 12 founding members of the euro system over time. Stacking kid, what's going on? Sorry, I'm just checking the chat here. So Heart of Gold says I put a percentage of that into gold stacking, but I wouldn't put everything in it. Accessibility is key for me. What? So you want to be liquid, I presume? Heart of Gold. Steve Rice says, "Yeah, kid, me either. I guess Barb is just a sweater than us." Robbie the Nationalist, hello from Dublin. Hey, Robbie, how are you doing? Doctor Who. Andre G. Corn and Backyard. Is it Backyard Bullion? Ripped him a new one. Limey's being told off by the missus because he is late with dinner. Stephen, you know me too well, buddy, don't you? Blazing Doom. He's laughing there. And that's it. The second kid, Steve Bob. It's not as sweet as me. How dare you? He is not as sweet as me. Sorry, totally misread that initial comment. Anyway, okay, so we can see the cost of producing money is higher than expected. So it says here, it turns out the annual operating expenses of the euro system in the past 2 years has been closer to 0.0090, or absolute terms about 10 billion euro to keep the euro currently in existence. I thought that was quite interesting. That was a quick article in regards to that. Let me know what you guys think. I know sometimes it's. Did you find that information relative? You know, in regards to cryptocurrencies through to gold and silver, precious metals. Obviously, in regards to pricing. Do you guys have any questions before we close off? Bullion Bouncer, sorry, BB Bullion Bouncer. I was like Backyard Bullion. Bob is half British and I adore it. So tough luck, Yankees. we're in uncharted territory. Let's see what were we looking at earlier? Yeah, I thought the bit of information in regards to the short history of major fiat currency collapses, I thought that was quite interesting. I didn't realize there was so many. But gold investing as well. I thought that was very interesting. We're going to pretty much wrap up here, guys. Oh, ladies and gents. Tomoko's here. Hey, Lamy, great to see you. Too bad I'm late. Well, like, obviously, you're welcome to go back and see the basically a quick overview. We were looking at digital assets, cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin. I didn't go into the other altcoins. We sort of, you know, otherwise you tend to just drone on about stuff. And then we went on to precious metals. We were talking about precious metals, silver pricing, history. And then we were talking about fiat, you know, talking about the different currencies, how fiat is determined, how the value of fiat is determined in the current marketplace, considering it's not backed by anything. But you're welcome to have a look at it. Red 5 Guff Gunny, he says crypto was fake. That's initially what I thought. I'll tell you what, I remember I was watching if you guys haven't checked out Netflix documentary about Bitcoin, definitely worth a look. There was a lady there, and obviously this was, you know, again, Bitcoin, or should I say crypto and resources, precious metals have so much I would say in common, but again, they're anything other than fiat. We would then use cryptocurrencies and use precious metals. That's essentially what we're doing. We want to be retained as a value. I'm not saying crypto is there yet. They're definitely gold and silver, but they share a common, as I say, a common enemy. You know, crypto is not with fiat, and likewise with resources. Your gold and your silver is not with fiat. However, they're a necessary. It's a necessary evil. Let's put it that way. History escape, but there are attempting to write new rules. Let's see if we're able to defy history. Stacking Kid, did you buy any of the deals I told you about? Doctor Who. Got enough tabs open? Yep, I certainly do. Got to keep those tabs open, but otherwise it's difficult to keep track of things. Hey, Alex, thanks for dropping in, buddy. We're just about to wrap up here. We're up to 15 views, which is great. That's been pretty consistent like that. So again, thank you to everyone out there. I really appreciate you guys coming in and sticking around. But it'll be interesting to see how we did. So we've got well, the chat's been going. Red 5 Gafghani. Okay, sorry, just there. No gold bought after the 60s. I'm looking into some gold, but I'm going to try and, the next time I'm doing my purchases, I'm going to buy some silver. I'm going to try and get a gold piece at the same time. I think that is probably the best way to do it. Get one piece of gold versus 10 silver pieces or something like that. Try and organize a balance, and then you'll accumulate that gold. I think that's probably the best way to do it. But guys, and big thank you. Thanks very much for sticking with me for this live stream. It was it's about an hour and 40 minutes. Stephen Heath, just a shout out to everyone here. Tomoka's Enterprise, Stephen Heath, Steve Rice, Red 5 Gafghani, thank you very much. Blazing Doob, moderator. We got Andre G, Robbie Nationalist, Doctor Who, Barbara Carburn, Alex Cornwell Hunter. If you guys are not subbed to these guys, go and check their channels, check their content, hit the subscribe button there. That obviously Stephen Heath there, DB Stupid, Steve Rice. I think that is pretty much it. Blazing Doob, the Stacking Kid. Thanks all. Thank you all very much. Mary Love as well. Mary Love's there. Just shout out to Mary Love for sticking around. Thank you very much, guys. Have a great weekend. I'm sure it's still early after. It's still in the afternoon there, or even in the morning, depending where you are in the States. It's currently 20 to 9 at the minute. But Stephen Heath, have a great evening yourself, buddy. My next door neighbor. Tomoka's Enterprise, thanks very much. Tomoka, absolutely. Well, look, you don't have to watch the whole thing, but you can sprint through it. Hopefully you'll find some interesting material there. If you don't know about tally sticks, I'll leave that there. Find out where the tally sticks. That is an interesting piece of history in regards to Fiat, the first introduction of Fiat in the world. Tally sticks. I'll put that in the tally sticks. If you don't know what it is, check it out. Tally sticks. Thanks, everybody. And I'll see you on the next video. Cheers, Barbara. Thanks, Alex. Cheers, Blazing Doob. Thank you. Andre G. I don't know if any of you, Alex, are you live streaming later, just before you go? Is anyone live streaming now? Yep, Mary Love's got an 800 subscriber giveaway. Definitely worth a look. My next subscriber giveaway is at 750, so we're not that far. I'm going to have some awesome stuff there, guys. So definitely you don't want to miss that. But cheers, everybody. I'll see you on the next video.